Go ahead. Just give us 1 second.
Okay.
Technically speaking, I did say 11:45, we're 2 minutes early.
Okay.
If you want to move, join us on the other side, just for the balance, folks, please.
Chief,
Thanks.
I'm here when I
He's here, but he's not here, just so you know. If you are joining us, please come on over. If you want to come on over to the other side, thank you. Okay, good. Okay. Let's just have one more over here so we can have everybody in the shot. All right, guys, let's do it. Thank you.
All right, good. Is it still morning? Good morning, everyone. Thank you all so much for being here. I also want to thank everyone that's standing to my left and right. These are individuals from our community who are trusted, who are respected, who are often the ones working to address gun violence in our community, mental health crisis in our community. They stand firmly on addressing public safety in our community, and we talk not only when there are good times, but many of us have been together and fighting for our communities during very challenging times. So I just want to thank my community partners standing with us today. So I stand at the intersection of Albany's past and future, and I stand on a very strong foundation. This city has really good bones, very strong bones, and I don't think there's anyone who would argue with that. This is a city that so many people feel connected to in so many different ways. Everybody has their own unique Albany story. And I'm sure if you ask everyone up here, you'll hear some similarities, but you'll hear some key differences. But everybody has their own Albany story. Whether their families have lived here for generations, whether they once lived here and moved away, whether they came here from around the world or passed through as a student or came here for a job, almost everyone has their own Albany story. Those stories are usually ones of pride and affection for our great city. I also have to acknowledge something real that is talked about all the time. Sometimes whispered, sometimes really loud on social media. Sometimes people are screaming at me about it. But people are talking about Albany in ways that are oftentimes hard to hear, especially for those of us like myself who live here. I walk my children in the neighborhood, and oftentimes you hear residents, business owners, even people who love our city say the same thing. And that is, Albany has a reputation for being unsafe. It is a narrative that is out there, and we have to be honest about this narrative that is very loud that Albany is an unsafe city. Even as Governor Hochul was just here this week, she visited Albany and showed us some very promising data. We talked about promising data in terms of statistics that show gun violence and crime being down in our city. That is real. And despite the data, people do not feel safe. And we can no longer just point to percentages and expect people to feel safe. People are talking about things oftentimes that they hear via the media, or a friend has said, or an incident that's happened in our city, and those become the talking points about Albany and safety in our city. And that's why we essentially are here today. We are here as a community to right this ship. If Albany is going to thrive in the way that people hope and believe it can, safety has to be the foundation. We cannot talk about economic growth, attracting new families, retaining the families that we have, building more housing in beautiful neighborhoods, or strengthening local businesses if people still feel unsafe in our city. Public safety is not one of the issues, not a side issue. It is the issue. It is the issue. It's also a priority for my administration as I look ahead, starting January 1. I have been very clear that I am someone who values safe streets, a safe community. My mother was a DC police officer, so my mom was a cop. I grew up learning about public safety through the eyes of a child who had a parent, a single mom who was a cop. And so I understand how important public safety is, how important our police departments are. And Albany deserves a future where residents feel confident walking in their neighborhoods, where businesses feel supported, and where the perception of our city matches the reality we all work very hard to build. Changing that narrative starts at the top. The decision about who leads the Albany Police Department may be the most important decision I ever have to make as mayor. The next chief will shape how we move forward, how we build trust, and how we stabilize the departments during a critical moment for our city. And not just departments across the city, how we stabilize the Albany Police Department. When I learned that Brendan Cox, Chief Cox, was returning to our city in an interim capacity, I was extremely thrilled. We worked together when I was a city councilwoman on police reform issues. I've known Chief Cox my entire public service career as an elected official, and that relationship spans a little over a decade. His presence in his interim capacity brought immediate steadiness. It signaled a return to something familiar, community-focused leadership at a time when people are asking for exactly that. Today, I am proud to announce that Chief Cox will not just continue in that interim role, he will serve as the chief of the Albany Police Department as part of my administration. People across our city have been wondering who the next chief would be, because everyone understands this is such a critical role for our city. Trust is crucial at this juncture, and Chief Cox has earned the confidence of residents, partners, and our police department. And after careful consideration and honest conversations, Chief Cox and I both believe that he is the right person for this moment in our city's history. His experience, his commitment to reform, and his understanding of our neighborhoods give us a strong foundation to move forward and right the ship that we've been talking about. I'm going to briefly talk about my confidence in Chief Cox, and then I'm going to allow Chief Cox to say as many words as he would like, not just a few words. But for me personally, Chief Cox has shown openness to reform and a clear commitment to independent community oversight. Public safety depends on trust, transparency, and respect. I know that he understands that, but I've seen it in action, not just for a week, not just for a month, but over an extended period of time. He listens to residents and values collaboration, and that's the approach that our city needs right in this very moment. Keeping our chief right here in the city of Albany allows us to be nimble and move quickly. We have a lot of challenges in front of us and a lot of opportunities as a city, and we need to be able to rollerblade and chew gum at the same time as we work to transform our city, to change the narrative, and we need Chief Cox as the top cop so that he can do his job in partnership with the community, in partnership with city departments, so that we can hit the ground running, rebuilding our city and changing that narrative about what it means to live, work, and play in the city of Albany. So with that, I am going to turn things over to our police chief, my friend and colleague, Chief Brendan Cox.
first and foremost, I really want to thank Mayor-elect Dr. Applyrs for really just everything that she's done for the city. Her leadership since the day we met has been amazing. We have worked on so many different things. You know, back in the days when we started to work on the relationships between our officers and the residents of the city, and especially young men of color of the city. That was a time I remember us just being able to get into a room and say, how do we get something done? How do we get our officers together with our residents so we don't have some of the negative interactions and some of the negative things that have happened around the country? We don't have those happen, and we were able to accomplish that together. When many things were happening in St. Louis and other places 10 plus years ago. Sorry, I won't age you, I'll age myself. We did not have those things happen, and that did not happen because Dr. Applyrs was able to help bring the community together, bring our officers together, and come up with innovative ways to say, let's get people together and let's do something different. So it's really an honor of mine to be able to be asked by Dr. Applyrs to stay on as chief. So I truly appreciate that. I look forward to continuing this. You know, when I look at my career and I look at my time here in the city, this is the city I love. This is the community I love. The women and men of the department, I am honored to serve. I'm honored to work with them. They do amazing work every day. They love this community. They ultimately want leadership. And I know that they are looking forward. They've loved working for Mayor Sheen, and I know they are looking forward to working for Mayor-elect Applyrs. I think this transition is going to be great. I'm looking forward to continuing to implement many of the things we are doing. I know a year ago when I came back, I looked at this and said, yes, this will be on an interim basis, but I think I've shown that I jumped in with 2 feet. I'm going to jump in with my whole body and just move forward. I haven't looked at this as an interim job, even though I did not think I was going to be here for much longer after the first of the year. But at the end of the day, I realized that there is just too much work to be done. And when I first retired from this job back in 2017, I left at a time when I felt like the department was in a place that I could step away. There's leadership in place that everything was good. But right now I think there's just too much work to be done. We need to restaff our department. We need health and wellness. The women and men of the department deserve to be taken care of. Our community and our police deserve to come together. And I look forward to those challenges. I agree with the mayor-elect. We are a safe city, but the perception of safety is not there. And that's a perception we need to take care of. There's a lot of reasons for that. And those are reasons that we can address. Those are things we can do together. So I really look forward to the challenges. I look forward to the work ahead. And I'm really thankful for today. And just thank you. Appreciate it.
So with that, we will be engaging with community. We had a breakfast with some of the community partners standing with us and some in this room. Public safety involves the community, not just the police department, but community is essential to an ecosystem that supports public safety in the way it's intended. And so, again, I want to thank the partners standing with us here, those who have met with us, those who we will meet, because I understand from my tenure that things happen. Those tough times will come, but we get through them and we navigate them when we have strong collaboration and partnership. So, the community will have opportunities to engage with Chief and I. We are taking this show on the road. We will be hosting a series of meet and greets across our great city on January 9th from 8:30 to 10 a.m. We will be at the Pearl Street Diner. It will give community members the opportunity in an informal way to come in and say hello to myself and our chief, to ask questions, to share concerns. We want to make this as community friendly as possible. We want to come out to our community, touch them, talk to them, and hear from them. So that's January 9th. January 21st, from 1:30 p.m. to 3 p.m., we will be at the Stewart Shop location at 875 New Scotland Avenue. February 6th, 11:30 a.m. to 1 p.m., we will be at Madison Theater on Madison Avenue. And on February 23rd, 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m., we will be at the Howe Library. This information, the schedule, will be made available to the public. We hope to see the community members, business owners, faith leaders. We will see you out in the community to talk more about public safety in the city of Albany. So with that, thank you again, Chief. It's an honor to continue our service together. I'm honored to have you as our top cop. And we'll take questions from the media.
Chief, you speak about returning the police department to full staff. Where do you stand on that road right now, and how long might it take to reach the staffing level that you're comfortable with?
So, it's going to take some time. I mean, in order to be able to get back to the staffing levels we need to get to, it's going to take time, because as we hire people, people are still eligible to be able to retire, so people are going to leave. But we have a plan in place. We ultimately just graduated 11 people last week. We have 15 people in the academy now. We're waiting for a list to come out, a civil service list of a test we just gave. We have a plan in place to be able to hire right away, regardless of whether or not we're ready to start an academy, so that way we can start training people. And we also have some plans in place to change the way that we do our hiring so we can expedite the process.
Do you think the perception of the public that the city is unsafe is because of the short staff?
I think there are an array of issues out there. I think we need to message some things a little bit better. I also think that people see mental health issues, people see substance use issues, and I think sometimes they believe that those issues have to do with violence. I also think people listen sometimes, and you guys are traditional media. I sometimes think people see social media and just automatically jump on social media and think that in their mind things are not safe. So I think there's sometimes we have to make sure we're messaging things the right way.
Chief Cox, now that you are no longer the interim and you will be the official chief moving forward, on January 1st, what changes for you, if anything, and what is kind of the first order of business now that it's official?
So, like I said, I didn't come in and just tip my toe in the water. I think if you talk to any of the staff at the department, I don't think anybody felt like I came in and acted as an interim. So, one of the things that we'll continue to do is certainly recruitment and retention. Priority is also health and wellness. One of the things that we have is we have a new director of health and wellness. That's a position we've never had before. That is a huge priority. So, there are a ton of priorities. There are going to be continued changes, but I don't feel like I've acted as an interim chief. I don't know that anybody else feels that way either.
In your meetings with Dr. Applyrs, at what point did you think, wow, I definitely have the 100% support of our next mayor, and this is going to be a team effort moving forward?
So, I've had the luxury of having a great relationship all along. Certainly, I've always been prepared in this position, knowing that I serve at the pleasure of the mayor. So I certainly understood that if the mayor-elect said I want to go in a different direction, I would have been disappointed. I probably would have advocated to stay on because, quite frankly, and I don't like making the statement the way I'm about to make it because it might sound a little egotistical, but I believe we're on the right course right now, and I think the stability that the department needs and the stability that this community needs is to stay the course we're on. And I don't know that we could have kept that direction if changes were made.
Excellent. Excellent.
Mayor-elect, will the people who have gathered around you be part of the meet and greet, and what role might they play?
So the meet and greet will consist of the chief and I being out there, but our community partners are welcome to be there. These folks behind me, I call on them all the time, and so it would not be unusual for me to say, pull up, show up. We're going to be addressing the community, so they are welcome. I can't underscore how essential community partnership is in addressing public safety. These are the individuals you don't just call when you need something. they are the individuals that you build relationship with, because things will happen and we need instant trust in one another, so that we understand out the gate that we are all walking and working together with the city's best interest at heart and the community's best interest at heart, as well as our police department's best interest at heart. And so these are my partners, and many of them, most of them, have been partners for decades, and we have our work to do. In addition to the work that the police chief talked about with our department, there are some community-centric initiatives that we will be announcing as part of my administration that will work in tandem with the work that our department is doing, so that we allow the community to take more of a forward-facing role in addressing public safety challenges that are in front of us.
Dr. Applyrs, how important is it for you to get that message out there that you do support the Albany Police Department, that this is a group effort, especially being the daughter of a former police officer? I remember having that conversation with you over at the station, but this is a really difficult time still to be a police officer. So how important could that message be coming from the top that we support this department?
It's critical, and because of my work on the city council, because of my work as chief city auditor, I want to be honest that there may be some officers who question my support. As chief city auditor, I conducted a racial bias audit of our police department. As a city councilwoman, I worked with some of my colleagues behind me to lead the charge on making sure that officers were trained on implicit bias. We live in a moment in time where people think that you have to be on one side or the other. Either you're with the police or you're not. Either you stand with the community or you're not. And I think anybody who is realistic about what it takes to have a safe city, it requires supporting both the community and our department. We cannot afford to choose sides here.
Yes.
And so what I want to make really clear to our police department is that I support our officers. They have a tough job, and as I shared, I watched my single mom walk the beat. She worked extremely hard, and we didn't often know if she was going to come home. That is a real reality for families who have first responders. And so health and wellness is so important. And so I will not only in today standing here at this microphone, but in action, doing my very best every day to show, because people trust you when you demonstrate it in action, that I am here, as I've said, 10 toes down to support our officers in the important and very hard work that they do each and every day.
Excellent response, Mayor.
Thank you.
Chief Cox, are there any specific reforms you're looking to introduce going forward?
Well, you know, that's something I'll work very closely with the mayor-elect, but I mean, I think we've already gotten a lot of things off the ground, including the community advocacy response team, which I don't look at as a reform. I look at it as recognizing that we need to be innovative. We need to recognize that there are things that we need to, one, make sure we provide the appropriate resources for our officers to recognize that they don't need to go on every call for service, and two, we need to make sure we have the right response for our community members that might be in need and get the right resources for them.
I'd love to talk about the CART program. How are you hoping to expand that with the new administration?
So, I mean, I think, you know, one of the key things is before we talk about expansion, we need to make sure that we're going in the right direction, that we're responding in the right way. So I know everybody wants to run 10,000 miles an hour, but I want to run 100 miles an hour before I get to 10,000 miles an hour. So we just started. We got off the ground in September. We are now working from 8 a.m. to midnight. We're looking to make sure that we do it all right. So we've gone from a co-responder initiative to also including alternative responder. So we want to grow that. We do want to get to 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's going to take a lot of work. We need to make sure that we're working with professionals from around the country, learning from what they're doing. But again, I think it's very important whenever we have an initiative like a co-responder or alternative responder model that we're doing it right before we just start trying to do things just to be able to say we're growing. So we need to make sure that we're ultimately studying what we're doing and making the appropriate tweaks as we move along.
There's been some conversation about possibly looking into having young folks of a certain age putting some sort of curfew in place. Is that something that you would consider with regard to public safety, or something you're still talking about, or is it not something that you want to consider?
It is still a conversation. I've had the opportunity to host, in partnership with some colleagues on the city council, community meetings to assess our community's appetite for a curfew. There are other municipalities like DC, like Baltimore, who have adopted these curfews via policy, and the verdict is still out. We have some community folks who really support a curfew. They feel that, and I firmly believe after a certain hour, young people should not be on the street. I don't think anything good comes from having a young person, a minor, out on our streets really, really late at night. That being said, we have some residents and community leaders who feel otherwise. They feel that the curfew model is very punitive. And so what we've been talking about is a model that is not punitive in nature, but a model that allows us to intervene with a young person who is out at an odd time of night, and to be able to check in with that young person and say, are you a safe space? And so in this year's budget, Mayor Sheehan allocated $500,000 to youth safety and support hubs, and this is the first step in exploring not only will the city adopt that legislation, but how we plan to model these youth safety and support hubs to support our young people. So to be continued.
Any other questions?
Throughout your process, has there been full support on all fronts, or have there been some disagreements that are meant to be hashed out later between the two of you?
I would say between the chief and I, we were pretty much in lockstep on one accord. So nothing that comes to mind in terms of needing to be hashed out between us. But what we've been candidly talking about with some of the folks behind us, some of the community members behind us and community leaders, I am not naive to think that there are some residents and business owners and stakeholders who feel that they are not at a place where they can trust our department. There have been things that have happened that honestly counter trust, and so we have some unfinished work to do to continue to build trust. And I think I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge that there are residents who rightfully so expect more from us to further repair relationships, and we are not perfect, and we do have work to do in that regard.
Last question. Go ahead, last question, please.
Dr. Applyrs, if you could say one thing to the community about your transition into mayor office, what's one thing you would say?
I would just like to say to the Albany community that I am deeply honored to serve. Chief Cox talked about him feeling honored to serve. There are oftentimes people who get into public service for a variety of reasons, and oftentimes they're not service driven. So I want the community to know that it is my deep honor to serve as their next mayor, and what you will always get from me is someone who is listening, learning, open to making changes, because this is not my seat, it's the people's seat, and I am very clear on that, and I am here to serve the people of Albany. So again, I am honored, and I look forward to serving as your next mayor.
Thank you.